Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shmute Devi Vedanta Swami Namaste Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Charne Vivisesha Shunmadi Paschate Numa Gyanate Vedanta Siddhananda Shavakya Chaklu Meditamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovisdam Sthapitamena Mutale Swayam Rupa Kadama Yam Dadati Swapadikam Mandeham Guru Shri Kavam Shri Vishtam Mahasya Shri Rupam Savijatam Sadhanaram Matam Tam Tam Sachivam Sadetam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahana Lita Shri Vishakhavam Shri Krishna Karna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Mudre Tapta Kachana Gauragi Radhe Vrindavameshwari Prashabhanu Sutitevi Panapam Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sundhavaya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत विश्वासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण welcome to this discussion on Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are right now and this is in continuation with our previous discussion. This chapter 5, Karma Yoga Action in Krishna Consciousness. In this we were in our previous discussion, we discussed the 15th shloka. We were in the middle of it. So this is focusing the mind on Atma and how Karma Yogi frees himself by fixing the mind on Atma. That is what we were seeing. Let us go to the shloka now. Nadatte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukrita vivu ajnanena avartam jnanam tena mumyanti jantavaha. So we were looking at the covering of the knowledge. So in the previous discussion, we were talking about the shloka number 3.36, where Arjuna is asking, Atakeno prayuktoya papam charati purusha anichenapi vashnaya baladeva niyojita. So what is that which is covering? So Krishna answers is that it is the lust which covers the um, Krishna consciousness. That is what um, is told in the in shloka number in the last section of the Bhagavad Gita chapter 3. But now we are in the fifth chapter. Here we see that there is a cover, but here this covering the real knowledge. So Krishna consciousness brings us to a knowledge of ourselves and our relationship with Krishna. So what is it? It is covering the real knowledge. Our ignorance of our position is what now covers ourselves from knowing the real knowledge. So this verse 5.15 is covering two important points, namely, Supreme Personality of Godhead is not accepting the actions and reactions of the living entity. That is one. Second, living entity's knowledge is covered by ignorance and hence he is bewildered. So these are the two main points. So when conditioned soul surrenders to Krishna, which is Krishna consciousness, Krishna takes away the sinful and pious reactions. This is part of Bhakti Yoga. So that means when we are in Krishna consciousness, the lust goes away. When we are in Krishna consciousness, we are in real knowledge, our ignorance goes off. So the covering of ignorance goes off, which is because of a lack of knowledge and lack of Krishna consciousness. So Krishna consciousness is the basic knowledge. It gives a basic knowledge, and then we engage in service of Krishna based on this knowledge, and then we go move towards Krishna, go towards liberation, and come out of the bondage of the material world. So in this verse, are we talking about Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Yoga? No, we are not. We are not talking about Bhakti Yoga. Here, the focus is Karma Yogi, and hence the verse is referring to consciousness of the Karma Yogi in comparison with the Karmi. So when an ordinary materialistic person works, or when a Karma Yogi works, Lord does not get directly involved in the actions. This is like a criminal who commits crime. The judge does not get into anything to do with the actions of corresponding reactions of the criminal. criminal will just get the punishment for his crime. The victim will get the issue redressed. That's all. So judge remains aloof from both issues. That is the punishment as well as redressal. In some cases, the karmi may be at the end of getting punishment or at the end of getting the redressal. So judge dealing is only on the merits of the cases. So in the same way, Lord's dealing with respect to the conditioned soul is similar. So the verses we are studying now, from the verses that is 5.14 and 5.15, we understand soul is not the doer, supreme personality of Godhead is not doer. So if you see, Nadate Kashyatit Papam Nachaiva Sukritam Vibhu Ajnanena Avartam Yanam Tena Muhyanti Jantava. However, embodied being means the soul is getting bewildered because of lack of real knowledge. So here it is clear, Supreme Lord is aloof. And if you see 5.14, na kratatvam na karmani na lokasya srihati prabhu na karma phala samyogam swabhavastu pravartate. The embodied spirit, master of the city of mind, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is acted by modes of material nature. So in 5.15, we see Supreme Personality of God does not get involved in the activities of this condition. So thus, it is the material nature which is acting. So it is not the soul, it is not the Supreme Personality of God. It is the soul, Svabhavastu Pravartate. So, how does this take place? How does the material nature get involved in activities? So, the conditioned living entity's knowledge is covered by illusion. This results in him getting influenced by the modes of the material nature. Thus, it is these modes of nature acquired by the conditioned living entity which drives the living entity to act in a particular way. So, in the lower modes, the living entity acts in a self defeating or self destructing ways, which makes it move to the lower species of life, thereby losing the human body. This is called as Atmaha. That is what in Ishopanishad it's called as Atmaha, soul killing propensity. The spiritual prospects of the soul is lost for a longer duration by the soul. The self defeating means the soul makes wrong choices and hence loses the possibility of getting uses a human form of life at the first instance and also loses the possibility of getting the human form of life. So this Ajnanena Avrita results in both self-defeating and self-destructive. So lust is one type of Ajnanena Avrita. Arrogance is another type of Ajnanena Avrita. So there is another term for these activities and they are called as anarthas. Anarthas. We are arrogant in accepting the Krishna conscious. Um, we are not focused on good activities or Krishna conscious activities because we are very lusty. So these are the two main reasons by which our knowledge is covered. So these are non-meaningful activities and these are called as anarthas. Artha means meaningful, anartha means no meaning. This literally means zero value or no meaning activities. These activities can also be analyzed from the covering of the soul with these three modes of material nature. This covering makes the soul forget its true identity. Our true identity is to be servitor of Krishna, engage in service of Krishna. But the soul thinks, I am Indian, I am male. These are misconceptions based on the body. By this, the living entity becomes bewildered. So then what happens? We watch cricket match played by India. We uh, we get adapted to the Indian way of life Or if I'm an American, I get adapted to American way of life, which is in very gross, um, based on bodily concept. So that is a kind of ignorance. And when you are in a country which is most powerful, you also become arrogant. And this arrogance prevents you from taking Krishna consciousness in any activity. So I'm just giving an example. This is not very generic, and it could be a specific also. But I'm just telling the bodily conceptions can pull us, drag us away. And these bodily conceptions are purely based on three modes of activity, three modes of nature. So in any activity, there are three entities involved: the soul, the super soul, and the material nature. So in Bhagavad Gita 5.14, Krishna says, Svabhavastu pravartate. So that means, so what does this mean? This means that nature is driving the action. Though the nature is driving the action, some actions are to be dovetailed and some actions are to be curtailed. Once Varna propensities can be dovetailed. Varna propensities are like Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. These are all to be dovetailed. There are other propensities like Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. These are to be curtailed. So these actions are based on the situations of the body. Right. So when we are getting enacted by karma, which is lust, or when there is a tendency to become angry, krodha, or lobha means greed, moha means illusion, mada means madness, matsarya means envy. So these are all things which needs to be curtailed. So there is a very interesting shloka in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Let us look at that. Naham Vipro Nacha Narapati Napi Vaishyo Nasudro. So here this is talking about Na Vipro means Brahmana, Narapati means a Kshatriya, Vaishyo means a Vaishya belonging to mercantile class, Shudra means belonging to worker class. Naham Arni Nacha Grahapati Na Vanasto Yatirva. So now Arni belonging to any caste or Brahmachari may belong to any caste. Anyone can become brahmachari or lead a life of celibacy. And grihapati means grihastha. Vanasto means one who is vanaprastha. After retirement from family life, one goes to forest to have detached family, no, detached from family life. Then yatihi means mendicant or renunciate. So here there is a point that I'm neither I'm in none of the Varna, nor I am in any of the ashramas. Then what is that? Kintu prodhyam nikila. That means kintu means but. Prodhyam, brilliant, nikila, universal, paramananda, transcendental bliss. Purna, complete, amritapte, which is the ocean of nectar. Gopi Bhartu, the supreme person who is maintainer of the gopis. Pada Kamalaya, of two lotus feet. Dasha of the servant, Dasanu Dasha, the servant of servant. So it means I am the servant and servant of Krishna. Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamalaya Dasa Dasanu Dasa. So that means I am not a Brahmana, I am not a Kshatriya, I am not a Vaishya, nor I am a Sudra, nor am I a Brahmachari or a householder, Vanaprastha or Sannyasi. I identify myself only as a servant of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, the maintainer of peace. He is like a ocean of nectar and he is the cause of universal transcendental bliss. He is always existing with brilliance. The quote is representing the highest level of at a sadhaka level. We should understand this verse at a intellectual level. We also understand at a sadhaka level that I am a body or I have a body and this body has some needs. To fulfill these needs, I have to act according to the specific nature of the body. So while acting in the bodily platform, I take care that I do not become infatuated or dejected or elated about the activities that I do with the body. If I think that I am a Brahmana I can speak eloquently, I can remember a lot. If I get infatuated with this idea, like I think this is so nice, people are praising me for my speech, my lectures, I'm the best. This moves me to the platform of Kartaham iti manyate. I am doing this work. That could be another case also. I am a Brahmana, but I do not speak properly, nor do I have strong memory power. Therefore, I cannot give a lecture or do a proper preaching. This may push me to the level of dejection. This also is called as kartaham iti manyate. We think that we are the doer of the work. So what is expected is that whatever bodily facilities I have, I will use it for Krishna service. I will do my best to keep up my sadhana and steadily progress in my sadhana bhakti. By doing this, I will seek the mercy of Vaishnavas and Krishna to transcend the mode of material nature and go back home, back to God. Thus, everyone in the Varna ashrama system should engage in the path of transcending the modes, in the path of transcendence, and eventually attain liberation by going back home, back to God. So, though we are initiated, though we have got Brahminical qualification, Brahminically initiated, it is important that we execute our sadhana by following the Varnashrama principles. That will help us in remaining focused. So the main point with Varnashrama is that we can dovetail our life easily in Krishna consciousness. In a regular city life, it is not possible to dovetail our activities to Krishna consciousness. It is very difficult. For example, a mother has to take care of the child, but in a city setup, the money required to run the family is more. So the wife also has to go out for work. Then who is going to take care of the child? So this puts us the child may have tendency to watch TV, and when a child watches TV without any guidance, then it can get spoiled. So a child which could get easily come into Krishna consciousness easily because of influence of TV may get a delayed Krishna conscious entry. So this is detrimental for a soul, for soul's upgrading or soul's movement towards Krishna. Therefore, Varnashrama system is very conducive. Just like setting up this entire ISKCON movement is a major activity by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada's one more desire was to set up Varnashrama community everywhere. So that is something which we should remember. And whenever we get a right moment in our life, we should move out of the city life to go to a Varnashrama society and stay there, focus on Krishna conscious activity. Um, it should be high, simple living, high thinking kind of setup. so, so the point is that Ajnanena Avritam is different for different Varnas. This needs to be dealt in a different ways. For example, a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra will have lust. They deal with it by regulating the lust in a suitable way. For example, Kshatriya can have polygamy. He can live in an opulent palace. He can have many servants. So this is according to scriptures. Thus, Kshatriya can easily regulate Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya in this way. So when we think that this way working is our original nature, then we get bewildered. So Ajnanena Avrita Jnana. Our knowledge is covered by ignorance driven by the Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. This pushes us in bewilderment. An intelligent person knows this, thus he uses instruments given by Krishna in his service to the best level possible. So I am a soul. This body is given to me by Krishna. I love Krishna. I want to serve him with this body to the best extent possible. So this is how I think. This is an intelligent way of working because this working does not bind us. It gives joy and takes us to transcendence. So now if you see the four regulative principles, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, this will control all the six enemies, that is Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. In addition to this, we need to get the higher taste. That is why we chant 16 rounds. And when we when we get up early in the morning, 3:50 when we get up and take bath, get ready for Mangalarti, then our um, ignorance, we come out of the ignorance, automatically the tendency for kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya goes off. And when we sing in praise of our spiritual master, we seek his mercy. So it reinforces our determination to stick to this sadhana. So this is the intelligent way of working because this way of working does not bind us. It gives us joy and takes us to the transcendence. Then we take Bhagavatam, read Bhagavatam, we read Srila Prabhupada's post. When we do that, we get knowledge. So one way the lust is curbed, and the six enemies are curbed, and then we get knowledge. And this knowledge is Krishna conscious knowledge. And this, no, tears the covering, this Ajnanena Avritam, which is our ignorance covered situation, is opened by Krishna consciousness and knowledge. So Srila Prabhupada in his purport is talking about uh, Vibhu. The Sanskrit word Vibhu, the supreme word here, means supreme God, who is full of unlimited knowledge, riches, strength, fame, beauty, and renunciation. He is always satisfied in himself, undisturbed by sinful or pious activity. He does not create a particular situation for any living entity, but the living entity, bewildered by the ignorance, desires to be put in a certain conditions of life. Thereby, his chain of action and reaction begins. Okay, a living entity by superior nature full of knowledge, nevertheless, is by superior nature full of knowledge. Nevertheless, he is prone to influence by ignorance due to his limited power. The Lord is omnipotent, but living entity is not. The Lord is Vibhu or omniscient, but living entity is Anu or atomic. So we can see that we need to completely depend on Krishna for coming out of this situation. That is, no, ignorance situation. Okay. So now the word circumstantial. Prabhupada is using a word here, circumstantial. So here we can, if you read this line, when the living entity is bewildered in his desires, the Lord allows him to fulfill those desires. But Lord is never responsible for actions and reactions of particular situation which may be desired. Being in the bewildered condition, therefore, the embodied souls identifies himself with the circumstantial material body and becomes subjected to temporary misery and happiness of life. So, this word circumstantial is very significant. We generally use circumstantial for a job or for a meeting. Here, Prabhupada is referring circumstantial to refer to the material body, indicating that our previous activities and desires were the circumstances which drove specific thought at that time of our death in our previous body, and hence it has brought us to the current body. So these are circumstances which we also which cooperates to get our current body. We are not victim, but the part of the team in getting the body. So we create these circumstances, and we get this body. Or there is a circumstance, and in that we have diverted our thinking in such a way, and that resulted in getting this body. The point is that there is nothing intrinsic that drives us towards the body. It is the circumstances that drives us towards the body. How can we manage the circumstances? So if we dovetail our life, everyday life. So Prabhupada always tells that death is like an exam. This exam we need to prepare every day. So when we do regular sadhana, when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, when we get up early in the morning, then the entire being of us will be situated in thinking of Krishna. So at any time we will be thinking of Krishna, or our mind will be focused on Krishna. So therefore, even if there is a sudden death, we will be thinking of Krishna. So death is like an exam, and when we keep doing our sadhana meticulously, with all interest, then Krishna will take care of it. So our circumstances at the time of death is governed by the way we do sadhana every day. So that is the most important thing. There are two other quotations which Prabhupada is mentioning. Yeah. एष हि एषयु हि एव साधु कर्म कारयति तां तं यम एभ्यो लोकेभ्य निसते. This is one. एष हु एव साधु कर्म कारयति यम अदो निनिसते. Then, so the Lord engages the living entity in pious activities so that he may be elevated. The Lord engages him in impious activities so that he may go to hell. Then there is a this is Kausi Taki Upanishad. Agno Jantur Anishoya Atma Shuka Dukkayo Ishvaro Prerito Gacche Swargam Vaso Abaram Eva. The living entity is completely dependent in his distress and happiness. By the will of Supreme, he can go to heaven or hell, as a cloud is driven by air. Then in Vedanta Sutra, Vaishamya Naigaranena Sapekshatvat Tata hi Darsheti. Lord neither hates nor likes anyone, though he appears to. So what is this? The first quote is from Kaushitaki Upanishad. Okay, there are many quotations. I thought I would relate to quotations. From this, we may question: is it the Lord engages us in pious activities and impious activities? Okay, there are two things here. Without sanctioning of Lord, nothing can happen. So we desire and Lord sanctions. Thus, it is these two things put together which drives us to do pious or impious activities. The Lord prima facie is facilitating circumstances to fulfill our desire. The second shloka, which is Agno Jantur Anishoya. In this one, this is from Mahabharata. This is from Mahabharata. And the point mentioned here is that the living entity is ignorant and is not in control of his own. He is completely dependent in his distress and happiness. So he's controlled by his happiness and distress, which is coming from his previous karma. So though we have free will, courage, and determination to overcome the distress induced by, so there are Adhyatmic Klesh, Adi Bhautik Klesh, Adi Daivik Klesh. So these are the problems that we get in our life. So we can handle it by our courage, determination, and our free will. But our capacity to overcome is limited. For example, we may be leading a normal life and then suddenly we get a terminal illness. and this terminal illness has no cure, then the impact of that on our health and family is devastating. This means that we are not in control and we are ignorant of what is going to come in our life. So when we are pushed to this situation, we accept the reality that we have no control on this life. Okay, we are at the mercy of Lord. Then we try to end our current innings by focusing on Krishna consciousness with a strong belief that we will go back home, back to God, or Krishna being a well-wisher of me will provide better opportunity to execute Krishna consciousness in my next life. This is when we have clear understanding and we come to know that we are not this body but the soul. When we are not in this frame of mind, when we are ignorant of this, then we do not know what we should do, how to or how we can handle the terminal illness. Because the terminal illness is a situation which will crush us. We feel that the life is finished like a candle is put out by one blow of air from the mouth. Somebody blows at this, and the candle light is blown. The fire which was on the tip of the candle goes off. So, like that, we will get crushed by the situation. But when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, when we chant Hare Krishna, when we get up early in the morning, when we tolerate all these situations and lead a Krishna conscious life, then we are in a right frame of mind. So, Krishna is telling to Arjuna that Matras Parshasta Kaunteya Sita Ushna Sukha Dukkada Agama Payana Mutyas Tam Stitik Shashva Bharata. So actually, in the first part of the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna is talking about soul, Krishna is giving explanation to Arjuna that you are worrying about the body. We are not body, but we are soul. But then Arjuna is asking Krishna, I understand that this body, we are not this body, we are soul. But when my relatives get killed in this war, I will feel the pain. I will become devastated by their death. So for that, Krishna is telling that these are all sensory perceptions. These perceptions are like hot and cold season. They come and go. Same way, pain and pleasure in the life also will come and go. So what is that we need to build? We need to build titikshava. So we need to build tolerant. We need to tolerate this. So Krishna consciousness, when you practice, it gives tolerance. And this tolerance helps us to easily pass over difficult conditions in our life. So it helps us to pass over the most difficult condition is birth, and another one is death. When you are getting in, coming out into this material world, and when you are leaving this material world, when you are leaving this material body, these are most painful situations. And these situations are so traumatic that you forget it. It is like when you get a shock in your life, you forget, you lose memory of that situation. Uh, so uh, when people meet with the accident, they actually forget the situation because they have passed through a trauma. And it's a traumatic situation, and that trauma results in loss of memory. So say that is the reason with the both birth and death are traumatic situation. We forget about it. We have undergone millions of births and deaths, what we have forgotten, all because it's a traumatic situation. But the devotee has a clear understanding that we are much larger than this body, and our living is much larger than in our current life. This view expands our conception of life and brings hope in us in the most grinning and difficult situation in life. There are many different anchors in our life which gives us hope. However, the spiritual life is the one which can redeem us from the most difficult situation in life. Family, friend, wealth, this could be good health, this could be anchors which can support us in our life. But the most important thing that can support us in the most difficult situation is spiritual life, our practice of spiritual life. Thus, without spiritual life, material life is a hopeless situation. Some realize this and some pass out without realizing this. So, it is very important. Yeah, so Prabhupada is mentioning here, therefore, the embodied soul, by his immemorial desire to avoid Krishna consciousness, causes his own bewilderment. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada is giving the reason for our bewilderment. Immemorial means we do not know when it started, but it is going on. Then the Lord neither hates nor likes anyone, though he appears to. So Lord is not partial. He is sa sa ape satva. So he is. This means he is sapek. It means that his Lord is not partial. So some are rich, some are poor. These are based on their karma. Some are suffering, some are happy. That is also based on karma. So Lord is not partial to anyone. Okay, let us go to the next shloka, 5.1. 5.16. Jnanena tu tad ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham aditya vajnanam prakashayati tatpaham. So Lord is now talking about jnanam, knowledge. Prakashayati means illumination, discloses. This illuminate, disclosing. Tatpara means Krishna consciousness. Param means supreme. Tatpara, that Krishna consciousness. Tatpara. Jnanena tu tat ajnana, by knowledge. So whenever one is enlightened with knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, as sun lights up everything in the daytime. So ajnanena avritam jnanam is uncovered by knowledge. This knowledge is like sunlight which illuminates everything. So Srila Prabhupada in translation is giving sun lights up everything in daytime. Okay, so he's telling, uh, and here in word to word, he's telling discloses knowledge, discloses Krishna consciousness. So the knowledge uh, which the living entity gets, by that he gets exposed to Krishna consciousness, and this illuminates him. So this is very significant. The knowledge is now transitioning from Atma Jnana to Paramatma Jnana. So till now, there was only mention of soul, but now we are moving to Tat Para, moving to Supreme Personality of God or Krishna. We are now moving to Para. So when Karma Yogi practices Karma Yoga, that is action without attachment to the fruits of action, the knowledge gradually awakens. So this results in inner illumination. This in turn results in living entity understanding that he is soul and not this body. He also understands that there is a supreme Lord who is acting as a super soul residing in his heart, in the same body. This Lord is, the soul comes to understand that this Lord is the greatest well-wisher. Karma Yogi then understand that this Lord in the heart is object of devotion, is object of meditation, it is his goal of life. This results in prakashayati tattva. So this is prakashayati tattva. So ajnanena avarta, which was closed, but when the karma yogi acts, action results in purification, and this purification brings him to the level of knowledge, and this knowledge illuminates the presence of super soul, Lord in the heart. This knowledge is like sun which illuminates the soul. The sun illuminates every aspect of the knowledge that the soul has to understand. So when we practice sadhana bhakti, we follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. So this purifies us in our spiritual journey. When the purification is complete, the sun of knowledge rises in our heart and illuminates us internally. This makes things and our next actions very clear. This gives clarity in our spiritual life. The inner world becomes clearer and comprehensible. We can tie clearly the actions, fruits of actions, and the resultant bondage. So we will know that illicit sex, we need to know illicit sex. If we get into illicit sex, it's a sinful action. And the fruit of action is we will be bound in this material world for a longer duration. We will have a very tough time in hellish in our we will get tough punishment in Yamaloka, and this results in bondage. So it is very clear what type of action we are doing, what is going to be the fruit of action, and what type of whether it is bonding or liberating. Getting up early in the morning, it is a very good action. The fruit of action is if we are going to go and sell milk, the fruit of action is maybe we'll get some money, but it results in bondage because we are attached to money. But if we get up early in the morning and chant holy name and at appropriate time attend Mangalarti, then it is a akarma. It is a karma which will free us from uh, birth and death and will take us closer to Krishna. Thus, we understand actions and execute only those actions which takes us closer to Krishna. So, if there is a butcher, butching, no, killing animals is a sinful action. The fruit of action is there will be indefinite time in hellish conditions, and he will be bound in this material world. So, if a butcher becomes Krishna conscious, can he give up this work? Maybe he cannot give up the work immediately, but he should start. He should plan to give up that activity and then find an alternate way of fixing his livelihood, and then he can get into book distribution, serious book distribution, or a serious since he is in a field of business. He was selling meat, so he was doing business. So if that tendency of doing business can be adapted in Krishna conscious activity, then we should see how it can be, how that tendency to make business can be doubted in Krishna consciousness, and then he can slowly come out of the bad situation. So that makes us gives clarity. So we can clearly tie our actions, roots of actions, and resultant bondage. So then we can understand what actions we should do so that we can go closer to Krishna. This is what is most important thing. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarabhyascha kripasindhubhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. ग्रंथराज भगवद गीता की जय जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय गौर भक्त की जय हरे कृष्ण Thank you very much.